One of my subscribers, who's a grad student over at U of H, asked me to talk about this topic, how you keep going as an artist. One way is I find that I subtly went from one medium to another. I started out undergraduate as a painter. By the time I graduated, I was a printmaker. Went into graduate school as a printmaker. Decided I was more interested in the drawing part of printmaking, so migrated towards drawing. Still did a little printmaking, but also in graduate school got interested in computers, and so I drew, and then I started to slowly introduce computer images, video, and things like that into my drawing. Another way is to just keep working. Try to do something every day, even if it's a couple minutes long. You get an idea, write it down, something, so that you don't lose contact with being an artist. And it's so easy to do. If you're lucky enough to get a good paying job that's not really in the fine arts field, it's hard to come home at night and then pick up your artwork. It really is difficult, and it gets more so if you have a family to support. So hopefully your spouse, significant other will understand your need to make art. Now, I was lucky in undergraduate. It was real tough the first 2 years, assignment driven. Then by junior year, they started to kind of let go of the reins a little bit. And then by senior year, you were pretty well writing your own assignments. And when I got into graduate school, it was easy for me to deal with the way they taught at Indiana, which was not assignment based, but it was up to you to decide what you were going to do. And some students found that difficult, and I was lucky enough I found it easy because my school had already trained me for that. So if you're coming out of undergraduate school and your whole class was assignment based and that's all you did, the only way I can think of keeping going is to give yourself assignments. I also give myself deadlines as to I want this drawing done by this time, and I have like rules that once you start, you got to keep going until it's done. Even if halfway through you think it looks like garbage, just go ahead and keep going. And sometimes it miraculously becomes a piece of art. You never know. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you. If you have people who do not think what you're doing has any value, they're just gonna bring you down. So you want people who encourage you, you can bounce ideas off of, and just keep going. Also, go to art shows, look at art, and that stimulates you. And Vincent and I talked about areas we saw when people dropped off. And mine was, if you stop doing art at 40, you'll never go back to it. He, as an educator, saw drop-offs at age like 22. As soon as you got your degree, Yeah, get a job, you stop doing art. Get your graduate degree, you get a job, you stop doing art. So there are areas that you better be warned of that are gonna hit you as an artist, and you gotta just slog your way through it. Subject matter, I think that's fluid. You always, as an artist, develop and change ideas. So sometimes you'll do a show, and this is where I have my biggest writer's block. I'll do a show. You just spend a year or 2 or 3 years preparing for the show, and then the show's over and you're like, oh, I'll take a break. You take a month break, a couple weeks, a month, and it goes into 2 months. Then you're looking for that next idea to spend years on, and you want it to be better than the last idea. So it's difficult. You're looking for that thing you can sink your teeth into, and sometimes it's hard to find. I found a studio is not important to making art. I did some of my best drawings on the kitchen table. Award winners. They've been in shows, they were bought by museums, and they were done on the kitchen table. And Rudy Pozzatti, who was the professor of printmaking at Indiana University, won the Venice Biennial by a woodcut. He cut on his coffee table when it was his salad days. So you don't need a studio to keep being an artist. You find ways around it. And sometimes all that paraphernalia gets in the way of what you really want to do. If you think you need the best and brightest studio, no, you don't. Like if you're a painter and you want to paint large, yeah, you maybe have to move to the garage, or maybe you just change the way you're thinking for now. Maybe you can't have the big paintings yet. You put those in the back of your head and do what you can with what's available. Sometimes limiting what you can do just makes creativity explode. If you're in an excellent graduate school, you're using top flight equipment. Once you leave graduate school, that equipment goes away. You better prepare yourself for that, or else that will be another stumbling block. Oh, I can't do printmaking because they don't have the large stones they had in graduate school, or the presses, or all the equipment, photography or video editing or whatever. Find ways around it. You can do that. That's why you went to graduate school, to be a creative thinker. And you can find a fix for about everything. If your stumbling block is media, you can find a fix for it. If it's ideas, you just have to work your way through it and try everything you can. If it's cash flow, there are co-ops. You don't have to invest in all the equipment. You don't need a studio. Just look for workarounds to all your issues. If you get a little success, it makes it a little bit easier, because you start getting people who appreciate it